Hello and welcome to Control Alt Record. My name is Chris, and with you for this episode is the dynamic duo that will make your ears bleed, Grax and Brett. Tonight we're talking primarily about Sea of Thieves, Far Cry 5, and if we get a little bit of time at the end, we'll throw on Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you do enjoy the show, jump onto iTunes and give us a rating and a review. Check out our other channels such as Facebook, just search for Control Alt Record. Twitter, our handle is at CTRLALT Record, and YouTube, once again, just search for the name Control Alt Record. You'll find us there. Of course, you will find all the links in the description of this episode on your podcast app. And of course, let's get into it.
You're listening to Control Alt Record.
All right. So, this week. Sorry?
Hey.
Hey. Easter's over. We are back. Maybe some of us died a little with maybe all our drinking and were risen again on Monday.
I'm still drinking.
Did it before. Still drinking. Hope you all had a really good Easter. Always great in the Australian way to have that 4-day weekend. Is that just an Australian thing? Is that like that's a Christian thing, isn't it? That's probably around the world. Probably have the 4-day weekend.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good.
Are you sort of offending Jesus by getting drunk the whole time, or is that?
No, I'm just
Hey, Jesus was all for the wine. Man.
He was. He turned his own blood into wine, didn't he? That was a thing.
His blood is wine,
Magical.
so he's obviously.
Is it wine, or did he turn it into wine? I thought he turned it into wine.
He can turn water into wine.
The mysteries of the universe.
But also his wine is his blood or something.
No, that's right. No, you're right. He turned the water into wine.
Symbolic.
I feel this is where we need Michael for this part because we're
going to go into religious.
Well researched on it.
Welcome to our new religious podcast.
With saints. No, I don't really give a shit. Cool. So, we're going to talk a bit about Sea of Thieves and Far Cry 5 again. We did touch on that last episode, but now that they've been out, primarily Sea of Thieves, we put more hours into it, so we're going to give more of our thoughts on that after actually sinking some time into it, as well as Far Cry 5. We've had to rip Brett away from his mouse and keyboard to come and record this, rip him away from it. And, of course, Grax has also put in significantly more time into Kingdom Come Deliverance, so it's going to be really good to get his further impressions on that. But, as always, little bit of news from around the gaming and internet world. So, Middle-earth Shadow of War has looking to remove their loot boxes now from the game. So getting rid of their microtransactions. I never played Middle-earth Shadow of War. I kind of really didn't get super into the first one. I just kind of felt it was a very repetitive game. Yeah. So I don't know. It just never struck a chord with me. But,
I never really got excited about it. Like I played Lord of the Rings online for ages, but the Shadow of War stuff never really did it for me.
I've played it. Might just look up how many hours I've played. But
don't say.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't really notice the loot boxes to be that much of a problem.
What was always in it? Was it always cosmetic stuff, or did they actually have things that you can actually help you progress the game? So I thought it was helping with progression.
I thought it was mostly cosmetic stuff. But the thing is, I never played it and thought, oh, these loot boxes are annoying. Especially because it's mainly like a single player game. So it's not like with Battlefront where you've got other players buying stuff and then they're more advanced than you. In this, it was really just, I don't know if you could actually, I don't know if it was just cosmetics or not. I'm just trying to look it up.
Well, that's the thing. As you say, though, if it's only really a single player game, how game breaking is that? It's not impacting anyone else.
So I've played 11 hours.
Oh, so that's
so it's reasonable. I got bored of it, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you get bored of it? Because you really, pretty sure you really
I really like I love the first one. I found with this one it was just a bit
same
it is the same as the first one, but I don't know why I didn't get into this one as much. It's just like
fell into the sequel trap.
Who knows. Yeah, it's good. It's a solid game, but just didn't really get sort of hooked on it. But I can't really say why.
The developer with removing these loot boxes Monolith have come out to sort of say, in quote unquote, is risked undermining the heart of our game. And it's like, really? That's the reason why you're pulling it out, or is it just because people are starting to get fed up with loot boxes and you probably realize people are
I really hope that loot boxes just become so sort of frowned upon, and like it's just like a phase, and after a while they just start going out. But I wonder how much money these companies
Probably
make
not
out of
going
them.
to happen.
Obviously,
But it'd be nice if DLC went the same way.
Yeah, I doubt that would happen. I don't have a problem with DLC really, but even though, unless it's like it should have been in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I have a problem with DLC when it's when the game's clearly not finished and then you're paying for more.
Like, I like the way with DLC, we're kind of segueing a little bit, but the way that like Far Cry are doing it is you've obviously got the full game there, and then the DLC is like, zombies and go to Mars and some other thing where it's like obviously not part of the main game, and that's kind of fine.
Well, that's because
as opposed to like the original Battlefront that had 4 maps and needed all the DLCs to actually complete the game.
The Star Wars Battlefront. Did you say Battlefront? Yeah, no, that was just that was appalling. That was you put 12 hours into it and you've seen everything 3 times over, and then never mind.
I was going to say that sounds like something we're going to talk about shortly.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's Far Cry to me. Like Far Cry 5, the way they do their DLC is at one end of the spectrum, and then you've got the other end of the spectrum, which is like that Battlefront game.
But then where do you draw the line? Because I think when we games, and I think this is one thing EA have come out and said, that the games are becoming basically like a service. They're sort of being proclaimed as service titles now.
They're ongoing.
They're ongoing, and I think to some degree, people do want more out of their games these days, and they want to get the longevity out of it. When you think about, Destiny 2, or Destiny had a 10-year plan over the span of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 with all the DLC and all the expansion packs and things like that. There's no way you're going to get a 10-year span or longevity of a game based off the original $100 value.
No.
So I think that's where, microtransactions, I think, does help the company continue to grow and continue to develop. I think it all comes down to how they execute it at the end of the day.
It's all about the dollars versus content thing. Like we've always said, if you spend your money for a game and you're only getting a couple of hours worth of enjoyment out of it, what's the ratio where that becomes a rip-off, or that becomes a good deal, or that becomes reasonable?
Well, I mean, exactly, because one thing when we get to the Sea of Thieves, one thing I mentioned on our last episode is, like, for me, if I'm going to spend $100 on a game, I'm going to want at least a minimum 50 hours out of it. Yeah. Versus if I spend, say, $30 on a game, then I'm going to be quite happy and content with, I got 20 to 25 hours or something like that. I don't know if that ratio works, but whatever. Based off how much I spend is how much time I kind of feel I want to get out of it to make sure that I'm getting my money's worth. Yeah. So, but we'll come back to that Sea of Thieves anyway.
So did we completely railroad your topic about the lit box thing?
No, of course not. There's no such thing as railroading here at Control Alt Record. If we go down a particular path, that's the way it just happens to roll.
Roll with the punches.
But no, I'm totally fine with companies wanting to have loot boxes and microtransactions if it's done the right way. When you look at the Battlefront 2, they were like, here's a loot box and it's progression that's going to help you dominate other players. Completely wrong. You look at something like, what's another sort of full price game? I was about to sort of refer back to Path of Exile, where that's a very highly microtransaction driven game, but it's all cosmetics, it's pets, it's building stuff, where, like, in terms of aesthetics and whatnot, but then it's a free to play game, so I don't know if that's really a fair comparison.
It's different when it's free.
So I'm trying to think what's another I suppose I'm trying to think of another full-priced AAA game that is like, here's your $100, but then actually provides you with microtransactions with a emphasis on cosmetic content rather than actually progressing your game. Because that's what I thought about with the Shadow of War, was the content of the loot boxes was actually things that you can buy, like weapons or ways to upgrade your weapons and things like that.
Probably is, actually, now that I'm remembering it.
Brett, refresh my memory. Forza 7 had not loot boxes, but payable, downloadable content for cars and skins and stuff, but you could actually buy full cars as DLC. Would you consider that something that we usually have an issue with because of performance and potentially having, something that you could be better than other players with? Or,
but it was sort of like,
because I know the races are restricted.
The game already came with, like, what is it, 700 cars in the, you know what I mean? So it's like, it didn't feel like you were getting shortchanged.
Yeah, and the other thing I was
Because
going to
there's
say
already
is
so many.
some of those cars that you pay to buy, like, you know, the ones from Fast and the Furious and various other packs, you can't use those cars in certain races anyway. So
No, it doesn't really, because they're all classed and everything like that. So you can easily build a car out to max that class out. So no one's going to have any advantage because they've paid money.
yeah, it's just basically it's just
it's
a
really
skin.
about whether you pay money for an advantage. Yeah, just the car looks different or handles different, whatever. But I couldn't see it being advantageous.
Yeah, okay.
One thing I'd like to
that's-
see developers start doing with their games, if they're going to include sort of cosmetic loot boxes or cosmetic microtransaction purchases, is to start actually allowing players to earn those same things in game, but you have to put obviously like a lot of time into it. Because one thing I think about with Path of Exile, although their microtransactions are purely cosmetic and armor and looky based content, it still puts, I think, sometimes then a wall between, hey, that looks really cool, but there's absolutely no way for me to get that. So everything that is free to play is completely dumbed down in terms of, I'm like super high level, but I'm still wearing rags. And it's like, oh, okay, nothing is actually changing from that type of look perspective. So I'd like to see developers start to allow free-to-play players the opportunity to actually earn those things, but in some other longer-winded way to at least kind of offset
but free-to-play, though, there's not... Otherwise, they need to have an incentive, like a really strong incentive, and that's... if it's free, you can't expect to have that stuff.
But I think...
and just grind it out. That's not fair.
But I think a lot of the player base, though, if you think about people who actually stream games for a living, they're probably people that would be able to take advantage of that and go, well, I play 20 hours a day, so they're going to be fine. But someone like myself, I'm very quick to sort of say that, but I'm also a very impulsive purchaser as well. I'll get to the point where I say, I've put in 5 hours and I'm sort of on my way to earning this particular piece of armor, even though I'm still potentially 20 hours away. It's like, for me, that's going to take me 4 or 5 weeks to actually do, because I've got a job and full-time job and do all this other stuff. Like, I would probably most likely fall into the trap of, I'm halfway there, fuck it, let me just buy it. So you'll probably find people who still end up buying it anyway, but that's just my thought.
I think the way Far Cry does their DLC is pretty good. Like, there's
season
microtransactions.
pass.
No, not the season pass. The the not loot boxes, but they have like reskinned guns and stuff like that. So you can there's like a shovel, and then you can get the shovel with like a smiley face on it and stuff.
Are you talking about the
got a
silver?
stupid name.
Where you can,
Yeah. So you can actually find that currency in the game. Like, you can loot it from certain places, so you can actually get the premium currency, and you can also use money in the game that you can easily earn to also get the stuff as well. But if you want it like immediately, you can also buy it. So it kind of gives you a couple of different ways to do it.
Isn't that kind of what I was just saying about Path of Exile?
But Path of Exile is a free-to-play game.
No,
though,
but
so
it's
I don't
still
think-
the mechanic and the concept of, you can pay real money to get what you want now, or you go and do something in-game to, in Far Cry's case, it's, you can find the silver, but it's just very rare to find, and you need to know where to find it.
Yeah, but I think that model works for a game that you've paid for. I don't think it really will work with a free-to-play game. That's all I'm saying, because there's no incentive for the developers to say, we can give players something, because they haven't given us any money. So we don't owe them anything.
Right.
Whereas with Far Cry, it's like they've paid for this game, so they should be able to get all the stuff, and it's a bit harder for them or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose it
All
depends on the developer's view of the world and whether they're EA or not.
Well, if I was making a free game, I'm like, well, I'm not going to give people stuff for free, because I want to make money.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well,
that's the whole reason you make the game.
It's all about the Benjamins.
So,
Yeah.
February, Fortnite is rivaling certain games in terms of money being spent on. So I think looking at a report that came out from gamesindustry.biz is where I've seen this article. There's something called Super Data, where they put together an analysis or information on money spent on video games in the world, in the industry, and for the month of February. In consoles, Fortnite actually made more money than Grand Theft Auto 5, amongst other things as well. But I'm actually more surprised at the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5 is still making tons of money. It doesn't say
shark
specifically, it doesn't say how much, but
Rockstar are still pumping out content for it. Every month or two, I'll get an email saying, "Hey, this is now in GTA Online or GTA 5 or whatever." So
GTA 5. When did that come out? Was that like 2014?
2013 on
13,
console.
yeah,
13, and it's still
going strong.
2015 on PC, I guess.
still going strong.
There's still a lot of people. Still a lot of people online.
Yeah, so one big thing that sort of came out of overall in February, the actual global market for digital video games grew by $9.1 billion, which is absolutely crazy. $9.1 billion it grew by. And
Most of that's Star Citizen.
probably. Well,
I was waiting for it.
Chris Roberts' bank account.
We've got to have an obligatory Star Citizen mention every podcast.
Of course.
Always.
That's actually been the most pleasing thing about not having Michael around is because we can sort of, oh, yay, haha. He would just keep going and it just becomes annoying. So look, just to quickly go through the top 10 list of PC games that made the most money in the gaming industry in February. At number 10, Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Oh.
Still
up there. Still up there in the top 10, making the money. These are the top 10 highest grossing titles in the world for February. So yeah, Counter-Strike number 10. Number 9, you've got Hearthstone by Blizzard. Number 8, you've got World of Tanks. What the fuck? World of Tanks?
Oh, World of Tanks.
That's free to play, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty big. It's pretty popular because it's free to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you buy skins and stuff. So
Cool.
I can see that.
Number 7.
Does this include like new games sales, or is it just like a game that already exists and
it's
it makes
just
money from transactions and stuff?
Well, it's just listed as the highest grossing titles. So I don't.
So it's probably skewed more towards existing games then. But that's okay.
Potentially.
Because I would have thought a new game coming out would make more money in a month. But maybe I'm wrong.
No, well, I suppose all these things have microtransactions in it. So you're going to purchase, like Hearthstone, it's a free-to-play to get the game going and get sort of the initial campaign. But then you've actually got to buy packs. And because it's
Is it Hearthstone or Hearthstone?
Depends on.
I always pronounce it depends. Americans, I think, pronounce it Hearthstone. I always say Hearthstone just because it's Hearth. That's just me looking at that and just going Hearth. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Hearth if you're American.
Yeah, Hearthstone. I think that's the correct English way to pronounce it.
Okay, cool.
Whatevs.
You knew what I meant.
It's a game.
Number 7 is World of Warcraft is still up there. Number 6, Fortnite. Number 5, PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Number 4, Crossfire. What the fuck is
What is Crossfire? What's
I
that?
have no idea.
What is that?
Good.
You sound really ignorant. We should know.
I know. Okay, tell me if you know what number 3 is. Fantasy Westward Journey Online 2.
Is that,
I didn't even know
is
that
that
was the
some
first
Korean
one.
MMO?
Probably. You're probably fine. Once again, this is worldwide. This is global. If you didn't know what worldwide meant. So yeah, when you think about the Asian market, that is one of the biggest. That is probably the biggest market in the world when it comes to video games. Is the sort of the Koreans in that Asian market. Number 2, Dungeon Fighter Online, and number 1, League of Legends. So there you go. That's for
Lol.
PC. League of Legends still going very strong. Still one of the top performing games for viewership on Twitch. Always up there, hundreds of thousands of views, like all the time, basically. So there you go. That's PC. That does go into console. Does go into mobile as well.
But who cares?
But who cares about those? They don't really count. So there you go. Just a little bit of interesting. That's a fucking huge amount. $9.1 billion.
It's a lot of money.
And
Just think of all the ships we could buy as Star Citizen with that much cash.
That's a lot of ships.
They could develop one ship for that amount of money.
Cool. So, Sea of Thieves. So, this released, and
We were all pretty hyped about that.
we were very hyped for it. Someone else talk. Someone else talk. Someone else.
I mean,
go.
everyone listening knows where this is going.
Yeah,
because
you
I
can-
think
you can
everyone's
tell.
got the same story.
Well,
Like, I found for the first, 2 or 3 hours, I was like, this game is fucking awesome.
yeah. Well,
And
that
I'm
video we
definitely
did,
gonna buy it.
we all had a lot of fun. It was really good fun, interactive, interesting. Oh, look at this, that's cool. Oh, the map moves, that's cool. Oh, the only thing we
Yeah,
didn't
really
do in that
fun,
video when we
cooperative.
played together was fight against other players. But pretty much everything in that first, whatever that video went for, 30 minutes, was almost everything in the game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing,
Unbeknown
it's
to us at the
it's sort
time.
of- It's sort of like it teases you with this amazing thing. You're like, wow, this game's really cool and it looks beautiful and the sea's lovely and the art style's cool and it seems, really well polished and everything like that.
Gameplay's
and then
fun.
you're having fun with your friends, and you do some quests. And you're like, cool, we'll do this, and then you turn them in and get another quest. And it's like, oh, hang on, it's the same thing. Okay, well, we'll do some quests, we'll level up, and I'm sure they'll change once we do that. Nope. Basically the same thing over and over in sort of 3 different
Oh, no,
versions of
you
it.
progress from getting chickens to getting pigs.
Yep. And you also, instead of getting a map, sometimes you get a little
Cryptic clue
thing to help.
That's just.
But then that's really it.
pretty much.
I mean, it's like there's only 2 ships. You can't progress your player in any way except for cosmetics. You can't progress your ship.
I saw
it doesn't matter whether you've just started. It's like pointless if you collect a heap of loot and you lose it. It really doesn't matter because it's not going to affect your character anyway. The whole game's pointless.
Well, there's
much.
no penalty for dying, or unless you've got unless you've got a shipload of loot and you get killed by other players and they take it. But your character doesn't lose anything. Apart from your time on the ghost ship, there's really no respawn timer. You go straight back to where you were. You don't have to go find your corpse and get your stuff back.
The problem with that is as well, there's a lot of like trolling and griefing going on because like players are trying to take forts, and because your ship will just respawn at the nearest port, they'll just keep attacking you over and over and over. And you can like sink the ship, and then it just respawns at the port, and they come straight back like a minute later. It's like, well, what do we? You can just get grief to the point where you can't even do what you want.
The only time you really probably get some sort of sense of suspense or get the heart rate going is if you got a ship filled with chests and skulls that you've gone and collected, because then there's actually a risk of, like you say, losing that. But that's then the only time that you really get that sense of, okay, risk versus reward, because like I say, if you die, you just spawn back on your ship.
Yeah.
If your ship sinks, there's a mermaid, ugly looking mermaid that will teleport you back to
Exactly where your ship is.
Yeah.
Like it feels like it had a lot of promise, like the promise of the cooperative gameplay and the crewing the ship, and that base level of gameplay was fun. We all enjoyed that. You can see it on the video. We had fun. But the complexity, and I think complexity is too strong a word, but the skeletons and the different types of skeletons, and some take damage in water and some freeze, and working out what ones do what. Once that was fun until you work that out, and then when you can let's just kite this guy into the water,
you can just swat them anyway. I mean, they never really pose a threat.
Yeah, but it added a slight amount of variety to the same fucking skeletons that you were fighting, and with a different color skin or whatever. And
is there a way, on the Xbox game launcher to see how many hours you've put into the game?
Let's have a look, shall we?
Should be
live and interactive.
I know. I'm trying to figure this shit out as we go.
I reckon I put in about 6 or 7 hours.
Is that all?
Over my 2-week trial.
Wow. I bet you're glad you didn't pay for it now, aren't you?
Yeah. I took my own advice, got the trial, played it for 2 weeks, got bored of it. Beautiful.
But to be honest, I would have actually done the trial as well if I had known.
If we had known you could do it, yeah.
I
You
think
did know about it. I told you.
No.
After he'd bought it.
After I bought it.
Wow.
Because literally, as I sort of said, like, okay, it was coming out. I pre-ordered it on the day. Like I say, I pre-ordered it. Like, it was launching in a couple of hours, and I was at work, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to get it anyway. So I jumped onto my mobile. I was like, oh, yeah, there we go. Ching. And then I get home, or actually about 10 minutes after that, that's when, Brett, you were at home, and you're like, I've got the Game Pass. I'm like, what the fuck?
What's going on with that?
Yeah.
So,
Love the Game Pass.
I actually did. Is that, where did that even come from? Like, that should have really been advertised before. I think that is.
Well, they probably didn't want to advertise it too much.
Yeah,
because they want
I think we
people
spoke
like you to
about
pay
it.
$90 for
I think we spoke about it in the last one, but yeah, after I purchased it on the Microsoft Store, it popped up afterwards and said, like, in the drop-down box, get it with Microsoft Game Pass. I'm like, whoa. So probably a little bit salty about that too, I reckon.
I am. Look, the only... I really want to like it because there is parts of it that just... If it just had the content and something to do. I think the actual multiplayer crewing a ship is just so well done. I think the foundation of it is there, and it's a game that I really want to enjoy because, like you said, it's fun when you're just running around with your friends, and just making up your own adventures.
Yeah, I think we wanted it to be. I think it really fell short of what we were after. And whether or not that comes in the future, maybe it will. But you look at the map in the game and you go, okay, that looks like a decent amount of content that's worthy of the price tag or whatever. But when you think about the repetitive nature and almost everything's the same, and if you never run into another player to give you any kind of opposition, you've really flushed your money down the dummy.
I think, I mean, look, they have... Sorry, go on.
Oh, what it feels like is like you and your friends go to like a theme park like Disneyland, and you go through the gates and everything's awesome. It looks really cool, beautifully. It's all nicely maintained and everything. And you look at around, you're like, oh, there's going to be all these good rides. And you go on the first ride, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, so much fun. And then you go to the next one, and like, oh, that's good fun as well. And then it's like, oh, that's it. There's nothing else here.
Or you get on the next ride after that, and it's the same.
Yeah, and it's the same ride, or all the rides are the same.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like it just goes from. I've never had a game where I've been so excited to play it and having so much fun playing it to kind of just going, oh, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I think like I just didn't. I just don't want to play it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done it all. It's just like it was so fast. It was such a
I can't believe how quickly you lost interest in it. Like
because it was so much fun while we were doing it. Like you guys are saying, I think there is potential there for it to be a really really good game. It just needs a lot more content.
Or different
interesting
content.
To see what Rare do.
Like you said, there's only 2 ships. There's only the sloop and the galleon. Why not bring in some other types of ships, or allow you? Like you can modify. You can.
It needs just,
you can modify your ships
more
with skins,
everything.
and you can modify your character with skins, but none of that has stat increases. And I misspoke last episode when I said that my sword fighting skill went up. I was actually thinking of Kingdom Come Deliverance because I was playing that earlier in the day before we played Sea of Thieves. But if they had some sort of progression system where you could get better, or you could buy the weapons, the new weapon skins actually gave you damage bonuses, or had a plus and positive and a negative to them, only works against this skeleton, or it forced you to have a bit more interaction with the game and plan it out.
The reason they didn't do that is because they wanted like all players to be on equal footing, so it didn't sort of preclude
what pirate
players
wants to be on equal footing.
Yeah, but even for when you
Well,
when you're doing the island encampments with the skeletons and stuff, like if you could buy a weapon that's good against the gold skeletons, that'll 2-shot them or something, but it's not so good
anyway,
against the other skeletons. Just something
they're
to
not
mix it up where
threatening to do
you
this.
need to actually plan what weapons you're taking to these raids and have a bit more thought into it, rather than this just banana eating.
Even, just more stuff to like. If there was more, the quests were like more interesting and more diverse, and it would felt like you were going on all these different adventures, and the unknown was there, and there was 5 different monsters in the sea instead of just the Kraken, and there was like a bunch of different enemies and a bunch of different ships and just more stuff. I think they could do that and still just have cosmetic rewards. It doesn't have to be about progressing the player.
Yeah,
but
true.
It just needs to have more variety in the game and sort of have that unknown element to it as well. So because once you've seen everything and you're done with it.
Yeah.
So it just needs more stuff.
For something that's meant to be multiplayer focused, I feel that once again they've fallen short in how to actually set up games. Like it's a pain that you've basically got like your 2 ships. One's a 2-man ship, the other's a 4-man ship. You can jump on the 2-man ship by yourself and sail that quite comfortably. But if you go for the want to play with friends or whatever, like on the 4-man ship, if you don't have your 3 other friends with you, you'll be automatically put with randoms. It's there's no way to say start a game, but make it a private game or a private crew. So then when like your friend that's maybe 20 minutes behind can just join once they get on. There's no way to do anything like that. You just automatically get stuck with a random.
When there's like 3 of you and 3 people will be fine on the galleon, but you have to have a random with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
exactly.
It's like
yeah.
they don't even give you the option to like, and then you got all these randoms coming in. You don't know what they're doing, and they don't talk on the microphone. It's just like just kind of ruins it.
It does.
Yeah.
And once again, I hate the fact not having a game lobby to kind of look at which servers have X amount of players. And this is one thing that really irked me about Battlefront when that first came out, was that there was no way to look at the servers and go, oh, there's 50 capacity, but there's only 10 people there. It was like, oh, but this one is 45. Well, I'm going to join the one with 45 because there's more people in there and whatnot. Doing the whole matchmaking where it's just, you get chucked into a server and you kind of got to
Quite
hope for the
common
best.
these days, isn't
Yeah.
it?
That's a
doing that?
pain in the ass.
But it's like
where
what you're talking about having the in-game lobby where you can make it a private lobby and stuff. That's really should be something that's almost standard in most multiplayer games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's.
What if you have 8 to 10 friends or more, and then you kind of go, let's have a private match and have like a massive sea battle, and because the only way, say for example, there was us three and we had one other person, and then we had 4 others. There's no way to make sure that we could end up in the same server and have like a 4 versus 4, private custom team deathmatch type thing with just your mates. There's no way to do something like that, and I think that's where once again that side of the what's supposed to be such a heavily focused multiplayer game just falls short again. There's no way to do anything like that. So
It's weird how I wonder what their sort of discussions, their boardroom discussions are. Where do they even talk about that as an option? Or because I'm not a game developer, but I can't imagine it's that hard to have the servers visible and you can join them, because that was how all games were done originally.
Yeah, but is that
it's like
they
remove it,
how they stop people hacking by not having a viewable
Why?
game lobby or viewable server?
But how does that affect hacking?
I don't know. Does it make it easy? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
No,
I wouldn't
well,
have. I'm not a
PUBG is
developer either.
probably-
I wouldn't have a clue.
Well, PUBG is probably the most hacked game ever, and that just forces you into whatever. So,
But I kind of feel for PUBG that probably doesn't really matter because it's just an absolute free for all anyway. So you're not.
no, but I was just because Grax said it has to do with hacking, and I just my sort of counter
okay.
to that was obviously not, because the most hacked game ever doesn't have game lobbies, so
Yeah,
it seems to
okay,
stop
no,
them.
yeah, good point,
So I
yeah.
don't think it would affect it.
Yeah, not really
But,
sure.
there must be some reason for it. But, like Battlefield 1, which is, still a current game, that has lobby, you can join servers. Like, it's got old school ways of joining, and so they can do it,
Yeah,
it's
it's
doable.
got to. I mean, in this day and age, it's got to be very easily doable. Oh shit, my microphone just.
Have you just fallen
I was
off
going
the
to say
chair
you
or
sound like you're talking from the other side of the room. but-
No, sorry. I broke my microphone sort of handle, and I just looked down and noticed my microphone was facing down.
You got microphone droop, mate. You made it
Yeah.
go all board.
Got a floppy mic.
just talking about.
You can take bills for that, man.
Hopefully that wasn't down for too long. I only just noticed it. Cool.
That's what
So
she
one of the main things that you do in your one of your main objectives, if there is an objective, because you don't actually get given objectives, is there's 3 factions. There's one that's primarily focused on gold, like collecting treasure chests. There's another one that is focused on collecting skulls or cursed skulls, and another is collecting livestock, chickens and pigs and things like that. I say things like that. That's pretty much it, isn't it? Chickens and pigs.
Yeah,
Can you
being
collect
very
the
generous there.
snakes? Because they're pretty useless unless you don't see them.
I don't know. But the idea is every time you do it,
Who cares if you can?
you take your missions from them, you hand them in, your reputation with those particular factions or merchants goes up. And the idea is to get to level 50 in each of them. Why you want to do that, I hear nobody asking, is because when you get to level 50 with each of them, is you achieve the pirate legend status. Now,
Yeah.
into this one.
Then what
Arr.
happens? Then you get more powerful.
No.
And then you unlock more content, right?
Exactly. You actually
Yeah.
you do.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Please,
No,
please
well,
explain.
I was being sarcastic.
No, from what I've read and what I've heard, I've tried to kind of put a blind eye to it because if I ever do continue to
not
play it,
gonna happen,
it's
Chris.
not going to happen. I
No
know.
way.
But you are meant to get particular type of cosmetic items that sort of shows off that you are pirate legend and you've done your.
Sorry,
level
when I
50s.
said content, I meant like more missions
Yeah, but
or
let me finish.
maybe like a better
Yeah.
ship or something.
No, you do actually. From what I've read, is you do actually get new missions or new variety of gold collecting missions. They're just more challenging. So it's basically once again
This is when you collect the
I was
snakes.
going to say that. That's when you get me 20 million snakes.
so
Yeah.
the
The new mission, get to level
And
1,000.
there's
Yeah.
an achievement for not getting bitten.
So there
Yeah,
there is.
and then the color of your hat will change to a slightly green color.
I think it's actually pink.
Hey, all right.
whatever.
So one person in the world has achieved legendary status, and a bit of controversy around it as well on how they went about it. So there's actually a bit of the online community are trying to get Rare to actually revoke his status because they felt it was cheating.
Conspiracy.
Yes. So this is his name is Prodigy X, Prodigy where the I is actually a 1, because that's how cool people do it. What he actually did and how he achieved it was he actually didn't do the missions per se. There was a group. He has his online community and followers, and what they were all doing is actually starting matches or starting games and going and doing a whole bunch of missions. And then once they've actually got all the treasure chests and skulls and livestock to collect and return back to hand it in, he would actually be invited to join their game, and then he would actually get the credit for it. And then what would happen is the next group would actually then go, hey, we've got another 10 chests, and he'll get invited to that group, and so on and so on and so on. So he actually wasn't doing any missions. He was just purely getting invited.
So
to
he's basically
done
ball
mission.
tampering. He's a cricket player.
I don't reckon that is, because he's playing still within the rules that Rare have set. So he's not hacking or anything. He's just
not doing anything.
They allow that. So therefore, I don't think that's cheating. It's just it's exploitation.
Yeah, he's not earning. He's not earning his stuff though. He's not doing the quest.
There is actually a disclaimer from Rare about people who cheat will be punished severely, and this is what people are trying to pick him up for. Let me quickly just find.
They're going to put him in the brig forever.
Yeah, I think that's Rare's fault, because they should have some mechanic in the game to stop people doing that. It's not really, he's not running some sort of script or anything over it. I think it's it's not very high morals, but it's not that bad.
Yeah,
But then,
And it's a pirate game, so acting like a complete dick is sort of part of the thing, and exploiting it in any way you can.
well, that's right. That's what I was going to say. So, it is a game based on pirates.
Well, he could say that he's the pirate king and they're his servants.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fine.
I'm just trying to find what the actual disclaimer bit is in their rules and whatever it is. But look, this guy he's come back out, Prodigy X with a 1, has come out sort of saying to defend why he should keep his title. And at the end of the day, one thing's he's sort of been quoted as, or one of his quotes that he's given out is I'm not here to satisfy you, I'm here to satisfy my community, end quote. So he has a bit of a following, I guess, online, and he's doing what he's doing because his fans in his community enjoy what he's doing, so he's doing it for them and couldn't give a shit about us. Fair play, fair enough.
I think the only people that care about that are probably people that were trying to get there first as well, but no one else gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? It's I was trying to do that and I was doing it the fair way, in inverted commas, and he just thought of a better way to do it and beat him. Too bad, I say.
Yeah, well, I guess there is a bit of a... I guess the community around Sea of Thieves, and it's probably the Xbox fanboys, are just upset because... Xbox, fuck off. They're just not happy because they didn't want their first pirate legend of the game to have achieved it in the way that he did.
It's a pirate. What do you expect?
I don't know. Whatever.
Sour grapes.
Yeah, so there you go. So still don't actually really know what all that extra sort of level 50 stuff gets you besides cosmetics and just harder gold collecting.
So
I thought you were going to tell me it got you a new ship.
That'd be cool. So basically, in wrap up, cool concepts.
Do not buy
needs
this
more
game.
content.
Do not buy this game.
Actually, one thing we didn't touch on. It's an okay game, but not for the price. The price is fucking extortion. $100 for that.
If it was $20,
Yeah.
I'd say totally fine, brilliant,
absolutely
brilliant game for $20.
It is not worth the $100, and I don't know if that's what other overseas people are playing, but it's $99.95 here in Australia. That
60 US.
That is
60 US,
criminal for that game.
Yeah. So who are the real pirates?
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft out-pirated everyone.
Well, maybe they're sick and tired of people ripping off Windows for years. I don't know.
Pirating their stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're getting their pirating back.
But yeah,
look, so Rare have also come out and sort of said that they will be plenty more updates coming to the game, game content updates and feature updates, which will of course be free. But they are also looking at the microtransaction models as well.
Better be free because you wouldn't be paying any more for that game.
No,
They wouldn't get away with it, I don't think.
No. Far Cry 5. Now, Brett, we have somehow been able to pull you away from your computer, even though you're sitting at your computer right now to do this podcast.
It's the other computer.
You've been able to get me to close the window or close the game.
It's still running in the
just
background.
I'll tab out for a moment, please.
I am actually playing it, just off the side.
Fucking better not be.
Take that, you cult scum.
I'm going to hand this over to you while I go play my Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes app. Take it away, Far Cry 5. Your thoughts?
What do you... I don't know what to say about it, really. It's like...
Well, we threw it to you because you're the one that hasn't stopped playing it.
Oh, I know, but it's like... It's a great game.
Get enough.
Gotcha. Okay, good one.
It's basically the same as Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, but it's just like they've added sort of taken all the elements of those games and kind of made it better. It's just so much fun. So it's just awesome.
Yeah,
But this is the...
I want to hear what Grax thinks of it.
Okay.
So I like it. It is fun to play. I'll grant you that. It absolutely is fun. The graphics are amazing. The characters are pretty cool. The storyline's very interesting. But it feels like, as you said, Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 had a baby with Ghost Recon Wildlands and then cut off a decent multiplayer option.
I don't feel like Ghost Recon Wildlands can have any sort of credit or anything for this game in any way because they totally ripped off Far Cry. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not fair to do
maybe, but just the whole... Yeah, it's... Like, it is fun, and I have played a lot of the multiplayer with my missus on her. So she was the primary, and I logged in as the secondary. So I mentioned it before that I don't know if we recorded it though. The thing that annoys me about that scenario is, whilst you're the supporting character in multiplayer, you get XP, you get loot, you get all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't progress your story. Which is annoying as fuck, in my opinion. Like they could have done that. They did, like I said, Ghost Recon Wildlands, the multiplayer in that, the four-person multiplayer. You progress the story for each of you, and it would have completed the game.
The only thing is though, there's a bit more of a linear story as you progress through. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there is
but there's still
sort of
regions. You've still got
that wouldn't work.
You've still got your 3 regions,
but you wouldn't be able to do missions ahead of other missions because you need to do things before other things can happen. Whereas with Ghost Recon Wildlands,
you can go anywhere.
Everything was just kind of segmented up, and it really didn't matter.
Yeah, but I think they could have got around that by, okay, so you and I are playing multiplayer. You've got to point 9 in the quest chain, and I'm only up to point 4. We join in a group, and we want to do a story mission. Then you have to do my mission 5. And then you get... It's the same for you. It's the same as the game is now. You get loot, you get XP, you get the gear and all that kind of stuff.
You could do that because then I could just join your game. We could get up to my game. Oh no, I see.
You see what I mean, though?
We're at the same
level. And then once we get to point 9, we're progressing together, and the story progresses for both of us. Because I really like games that are story driven. I love to immerse myself in the story and do quests and get into the lore and find out what happens to people and do the side quests to see why this guy's a dick and why that person needs help and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm going to do it to help someone else and then have to do it again to progress my game, that's fucking annoying.
Yeah, I think I get your point, and to be fair, though, it hasn't really. I haven't even played multiplayer in the game yet.
It's cool. It feels exactly like Far Cry 4 and Ghost Recon Wildlands with that limitation.
They've sort of ramped up the amount of action. I think, there's so many enemies everywhere. Yeah. There's constantly battles breaking out. It's just like absolute chaos and mayhem all the time.
It's a lot of fun. It is really good fun. That all the things you can do, the fishing and the various other activities, and that's really cool. It's immersive and fun, and you can do go hunting and do the quest or not do the quest. It's absolutely worth buying and playing if you're into the Far Cry thing or you're looking for something, a shoot 'em up game with a bit of a story. The main story of the game is really quite interesting. it's
I like the way you can bring in so one thing they've sort of expanded on with like Far Cry 4, you could have a guy to come in and help you, but it's just like generic Soldier 1. But I like the way they've done the sort of roster where you've got, one guy's got a plane, one guy's got a helicopter, you got a bear, a tiger, a panther type thing, whatever
the
it's
dog
mountain
and all that.
lion. And they all have different abilities, and
You can
it
switch
kind of
them out
adds
once
a
you
bit
found them, and
and then you can like combine those with other things, and it kind of gives it just adds to that sort of do it your own way type thing. Like you can assess the outpost and go, okay, with this one I want someone with a rocket launcher, and I want a helicopter because there's some plane buzzing around. I know that's going to give me a hard time.
yeah, and that's really cool. I think that's really well done.
Yeah, and there's lots of different guns, and like just all the combinations of those things just makes it like all the battles sort of can play out differently, based on how you.
Oh, for sure. And whether you go in at night, all the tactical options, all of that kind of stuff. Whether you use the bow or silencers or whatever.
The stealth to be quite difficult. Actually, the bow's good, maybe a little bit overpowered.
Yeah,
but
I have been killing people by
um,
shooting them in the leg. That's a bit of a reach.
Yeah, I have found it's a bit like you go, oh, I'm going to stealth this one, and then within 3 seconds,
It's gone to
World War
shit.
III's broken
Yeah.
out. It's just mental.
That's really cool. Like
yeah.
the pressure that comes from being attacked from all sides and all those, everything going to shit every 5 seconds is cool. One of the minor things that I think they could possibly patch, if other people think it's an issue, is when you clear a little camp, or even the big camps. When you clear the big camps, they're cleared and the NPCs take over. When you clear the little camps, the little points of interest around the map, you walk out of that area like by half a meter, and they respawn behind you and start shooting you. Like that shit. That needs to be looked at, I think. NPCs that get killed by the cougars and the bears, and when that first happened to me, I was like, oh shit, I wasn't quick enough to save the vendor. Bloody hell, I'm not going to be able to sell stuff in this area now. I come back 5 minutes later and the person's there, and I'm like, well, no, I'd actually prefer, if I wasn't good enough to stop that from occurring, then that person's dead.
I feel like if that was the case, that everyone would be dead.
It is pretty full on.
Everyone's dying constantly.
Yeah,
they might have. Yeah, I know what you mean. I sort of do agree. It's probably a bit aggressive on the respawns, especially with enemies that just come for everyone.
But I think they could balance it in the way that, like, there's so many of those NPCs with the little exclamation marks around the joint that give you new missions to find or new areas to explore. They tell you about some local lore that you want to go and find out. There's so many of those dudes around the place that if they actually got killed, I don't know, maybe they could set a threshold of, all right, there's 6 missions in this area that the player can discover. There's 6 NPCs that can't be killed, and make them stronger. Make them able to fend off the stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, make them sort of a bit tougher.
Yeah, and then the other 20 that are in the same area, all right, if they die, they're dead. That's it. It's over.
Yeah, don't agree. I think I like people to be able to come back, because I think it would. I just know they would die, and I don't know, but that's fine. I can see where you're coming from as well. I think I
know it feels like I'm bitching and whinging a lot, like I'm giving a lot of negative here, but it is a fun game. I'm enjoying it.
I just like the way everything plays out. Like, just especially the general AI interactions in general are just great. Like, you could just sit there and kind of watch. A van will come past, and then someone's getting executed on the side of the road, and the van will like run one of the guys over by accident, and then they'll start shooting at them, and then a plane will come out and bomb them, and it's just constant, just all those sort of things.
Yeah,
going on
cool.
All the time.
There's definitely
great. It's just so funny. I haven't laughed at a game so much with the crazy, silly. There'll be some guys in the back of a van, and you'll save them, and they'll just go running out, and a truck will run them straight over and stuff.
Well, I actually saved,
or a bear will.
I saved some guys in the back
so
of a van yesterday, and they got out. And before I got the credit for releasing them, the nearby guys killed them, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
yeah.
So it's definitely there's a lot of gameplay and a lot of fun to be had there for sure. It's
You definitely don't buy it for a realistic shooter or anything like that.
Definitely not realistic.
It's the most over-the-top action ever. It's crazy.
I also don't buy it if you found other Far Cry games pretty average, because it is exactly the same. I think you have to really be a Far Cry fan to get the most out of this game. and really enjoy it. I kind of felt I know it was one of the conversation that we sort of were having. I think we went up onto Facebook. It was a question asked about how it was going. From the beginning, I think, Brett, you were sort of, the responses from you two were like, it's fantastic, it's awesome. Mine was predictable, rinse and repeat, or something like that. So I just kind of, from the get-go, as soon as if you haven't played it, I don't want to sort of kind of go into it, but as soon as you see the opening scene and the vehicle, I'm just like, you just know exactly what's going to happen. Within 2 seconds, like, this is going to happen. And what do you know? It happened. And that was just, of course, there you go. And then you're off into the wilderness.
Maybe you're just super intuitive, like, Chris.
No, it's just, hasn't that been done before?
But the thing is, you had information in advance of what the game is about. So you already knew the ending anyway. So
what are you talking about?
There's only a few ways. Well, because you're saying you sort of knew how the intro was going to play out.
Yeah, and how your adventure begins and running off into the forest.
You knew what the adventure was going to be in advance. It's not like if you just watched that without any sort of other information, you didn't know it was a Far Cry game, then you wouldn't have predicted that. You just predicted it because it's going to be some guy stuck in this area where he has to fight the thing. You know what I mean? So you kind of knew the ending already. That's what I'm saying.
Right, in terms of the actual unlocking of outposts, is that what you're referring to?
No, I just mean the genre and how the game plays, because you've played other Far Cry games.
Well, that's right. But
it's predictable because you already know what it is. You know what Far Cry is.
Well, exactly. So they're not.
So how else?
Well, they're not offering anything new.
Well, but I don't want anything new. That's the thing. I'm glad it's like that. If they were like, we're going to change it into some super realistic stealth shooter, I'd be like, fuck that. I wouldn't even buy it.
Well, that's right. That's why, as that's all I'm saying is, like, if you really like the Far Cry formula, then you're going to probably really like this game. I think one thing that Ubisoft do really well is definitely the story seems interesting. They've got some wacky characters that are very easy to sort of kind of go.
Yeah, some very interesting NPCs, that's for sure.
I say wacky is a bit of an understatement. But they do really well. They're really well done in the character modeling, the mannerisms, the movement.
Graphics are good. The graphics are pretty cool.
The stories,
nice environment.
The story is very interesting. And it's potentially something that could probably happen, or is maybe happening at the moment. When you think who's leading that country. And but then at the end of the day, like, you talk about the chaos before, and it's just people everywhere, and it's chaotic, and it's almost like it just becomes like feeling like just a filler, and it just becomes tedious to some degree, where it's just like, oh look, I'm shot people, oh look, more people, bang bang, oh look, more people, I get in my car and I drive away, oh look, more people. It's like, oh my god, I just want to get to where I need to do to progress the story.
You can. The thing is, that's what you got to work out, is ways to do that. Like, example, what you can do is, if you're finding you're just constantly getting, like, you can't get anywhere because you're just constantly getting attacked, if you get one of the cars with a turret on the back, get one of the NPCs and they'll actually drive you there, so you can sit on the turret and you just waste everyone, and it's actually suddenly really easy. Yeah, but or steal a helicopter or something.
No, that's right.
Or walk through the forest. You can generally do that without being disturbed. You just got to think outside the box, Chris.
Not really. It's just my thing outside the box. If I just go, okay, I've shot enough people, I'll just jump my car and drive away.
Just watch out for cougars.
And then that's it. So there you go. Easy solution. Sometimes the easiest is just to go with that. It's like, I'll just jump and I'll drive away. And then, but look, then more people show up. So I just kind of feel it became,
I just gave you some other ways to do it. It's because you're driving on the road where all the guys are.
But then all that will happen is you'll still get people from the ground shooting you in your helicopter. Planes will start showing up and start chasing you down. So it's still the same.
It's not as bad. Not as bad.
Yeah. But look, it's a Far Cry game. It's not blowing me out the water. It looks cool. It's got some fun gameplay mechanics, but it's just not offering anything.
It'd be like if you bought Star Citizen and then you went, this is really predictable, I can get in a spaceship and fly to a planet, and you're like, they should have done something different. It's like, how dumb is that? That's basically what you're saying. Well,
no, because after 5-6 iterations or iterations in the franchise, it's like, yep, still the same with, and that's actually when I look at Ubisoft, it's like they just do this like Assassin's Creed. It's all exactly the same, which is now worrying.
Yeah, but that's probably they've hit their niche and they know that that's what sells for that genre.
But that's what people want.
People are expecting that type of thing.
They want it to be predictable.
Like, I think
I'm a fan of that game, and I would be annoyed if they changed it.
I think the thing,
I feel
the
like
selling
they
point for it
take
is
and enhance it.
that it's the story. Like the mechanics and the gameplay are pretty much recycled. It's the story of the cult and what goes on and who's involved and how you save America, basically.
And I feel like they have taken that Far Cry formula. It's not exactly the same. They've built on it, and they've enhanced it and made it better, taken all the good bits and polished it up a bit as well. So it's not, even though it's the same game in a way, it's still got lots of extra stuff. It's got more good stuff.
It's not a bad game. Definitely, if you are into that kind of stuff, it's worth your time.
It is fun, but if you're, for me, I went through Far Cry 3, attempted a bit of Far Cry 4, and quite quickly was like, oh yeah, look, it's fairly similar. It's just in a new environment with new characters. Didn't bother with Primal because I was like, well, it's just gonna be the same. And I thought, okay, 5, okay, it's in the American cult thing going on. Seems a bit more interesting because the whole Primal didn't really sort of intrigue me, and then as soon as I get back into it, it's like it's just the same. So they're just reskinning it, and I kind of feel sometimes like it's just playing it safe.
Maybe, but look at it this way: I spent less on Far Cry 5 than I did on Sea of Thieves, and I'm still playing it.
Yeah, look at the content. Look at the content difference.
There is a
Far Cry 5 and Sea of Thieves.
More content in there. And speaking of content, the other modes of the game, have you guys looked at arcade or anything like that? I haven't yet.
No, I haven't even got
the
to
concept
that yet.
sounds cool, being able to design your own map and having NPCs in the game tell you about it's pretty funny too. Like you come across these arcade machines and the NPCs will go, "Oh, play this. You can make your own map."
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
Like, this is the best game ever.
That's funny. But
I've bought the I've sort of broken my own rule, but I've already ordered the season pass because I just want more. I want more.
Oh my
content.
god!
Yeah, break your rule a lot.
I do sometimes, but I'm just like, yep. If it's just more of this, more killing,
Breaking Bad.
more death and destruction,
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Cool. Well, so we are nearly out of time for this week's episode. But Grax, you did go into play a bit more time. Good English. Great.
English is hard.
Put a bit more time into Kingdom
getting
Come
late there.
Deliverance.
I did, yes.
Give us a quick recap on that since you've put in. So when you brought it up last week or last episode, how many hours had you put in at that point? You
I think it was like three or 4 hours into it. Yeah, I wasn't even fully out of the tutorial, out of the starting city. So now I'm up to 33.5 according to my Steam record. So I've given it a fair whack of time. And just before we get into that, I paid less for Kingdom Come Deliverance than I did for Far Cry 5 and Sea of Thieves, and I'm having a fucking great time, I've got to tell you. Like I said in the last episode, it is cutscene heavy RPG, dialogue option, cinematic stuff. So if that's not your thing, probably don't do it. But the storyline in this game is really cool. I love my storylines. I like to feel for the characters and find out what makes them tick and investigate stuff. The mechanics for some things I'm still struggling with. I still struggle with the sword fighting mechanic. Like, it's pretty, like, it appears to be basic, but there's lots of little subtleties on how to block and strike in certain directions and things like that I'm still trying to get my head around. But most of the time I can win fights. Crafting is really interesting. Actually, first learned how to do potions and that kind of stuff today, and you actually sit at the crafting bench and you have to grab the ingredients and break them up in the mortar and pestle and then cook some oil and then boil it for one turn of the hourglass and then put something else in. Like, you actually have to go through the process, and if you can't read, it makes that harder. You have to look at the pictures. So you can go out and find a scribe and learn to read and invest time into that. So it's like there's a lot of game mechanics that are really in depth and really engaging if that's your kind of thing. Riding the horse and mounted combat and all that kind of stuff's really interesting and technical. I'm really enjoying it. I've watched a couple of different people on YouTube do some playthroughs, and whilst depending on the dialogue options you choose in your conversations, it can set you off on different paths in the story. But it also, the results of those conversations depend on your skill in speech or what stat you use to influence the conversation, whether you use your linguistics or brute force or, how good you look, that kind of stuff. So the NPCs in the game react to how you look. So most recently, I won a fight where I got a couple of nice pieces of armor and a face guard, a face shield. So now when I speak with a lot of NPCs in town, they think I'm a knight and they address me as sir, and they say, "Oh, I'm honoured that you'd be interested in a conversation with me, sir knight," and blah blah blah. So, but if you're really dirty and grubby and you haven't got your armor on and stuff like that, they'll treat you like a peasant, and that is really cool.
Sure.
And like I said before, you've got you don't have to be a good upstanding citizen. You can do dodgy stuff. There's stealth, there's lockpicking, there's pickpocketing. Pickpocketing is an interesting mechanic. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes to get my head around, and now I pickpocket like a mofo. Same with lockpicking. That was a little bit hard to get your head around in the beginning, but I actually watched a tutorial on YouTube, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that's what that means. So it wasn't super clear in game how to do it. But now that I can do it, it's you progress in the skill, and it makes it a lot easier as well. So yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it, and I can see that 33 hours becoming 66.99. Like unless the game runs out. The side quests are engaging. I've got a couple of main quests that people are saying, we need you to do this now. It's dire importance, but I just keep going on side quests and going, oh, you need help. Oh, you need help. Oh, cool. More money for me. Rob these bandits by the side of the road. So yeah, it's cool. The random encounters are interesting. So when you're traveling on paths and roads through the forest, there's chances for random encounters, and I've had a couple where I've actually been killed or whatever right after saving. You load back in and they're not there anymore, so it's not predictable. Random encounters with wayfarers and strangers on the road, and people challenging you to duels and things like that. It's scripted, but it doesn't happen at the same place every time. So you can't predict it. When you see a stranger on the road, they could be a friend or they could be a foe, and you won't know until you get within combat range. So it's kind of a risk every time you see someone, and I like that. You can either choose to avoid them or not.
So there's no sort of embroidery logo.
There is. So there's heraldry and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of bandits that wear commoners clothing to put you off. Right. And the main enemies in the game are the Cumans. They have a certain level of dress and type of armor and type of weapons that they carry.
So, what were the main enemies?
The Cumans. Cumans.
I thought you said the Cubans.
Yeah, Fidel's out there. No, yeah, so it's really cool. I can't say really cool enough times. How many times have I said it now?
A few times.
Yeah.
At the moment, it
sounds really cool.
$60 US.
$60 US. So cheaper than both of the two previous games we've talked about.
Well, it's still $80, $90 Australian, isn't it? So
roughly,
not
yeah.
by a huge amount.
That's full price.
It's
a full price game.
It's the same US game. Yeah.
But it's just the other two games.
So how's that cheaper? It's
$59.99 was cheaper than what I paid for Far Cry.
Oh, do you mean 60 Australian?
No, I'm talking USD.
So that would be like $80-$85 Australian.
Yeah, how much was Far Cry?
Like 79, I think I paid 8.
So it's still cheaper. Like are you talking USD now or Australian?
No, I'm talking Australian dollars.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it was $59.95 US.
Maybe it's because I got the Far Cry pass and stuff, deluxe edition, whatever.
Oh, did you get the season pass?
Yeah, of course I did.
So nice. Far Cry 5 on Steam is $66.95 US.
Okay, there you go. So it's actually more.
Sorry, Grax, you're right. It's like $6 cheaper.
So it's still cheaper. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Comparatively speaking, there's a couple of little bugs in Kingdom Come that are annoying, little glitches with staircases and when you're overweight.
There's a lot of little
bugs. I was just looking at it on Steam before the podcast. The rating recently has gone down from mostly positive to mixed, and the developers have said they've got the highlighted bugs are on their radar.
And it is also they're no Ubisoft, that's for sure. So they're quite a small developer compared to the size and scope. That
it was a Kickstarter, wasn't it? Kingdom Come at one point.
So,
yeah, I think
it was. That's where all devs get their money from these days.
Apparently, but yeah. So in the reviews, they're talking about a lot of different bugs and graphics and all this kind of stuff. In the 33 hours I've played, the biggest bug I've found is getting up staircases when you're encumbered. If as soon as you get rid of your encumbrance, you can walk up the staircase. If you're fully encumbered, you can't. Like that's the worst bug.
Shit upstairs when I'm carrying.
It's kind of realistic, isn't it? But that's the worst bug I've found so far. People are talking about graphical glitches and problems with scenery.
Is that actually a bug, or like can you just genuinely not carry shit?
No, it feels like you get caught. You get caught on the steps, and even when you're not encumbered, you sometimes get caught, but you can jump to overcome it. Whereas when you're encumbered, no matter how, as soon as you hit your encumbrance level, you can't jump. So you can't climb, or you can climb over fences, but you can't jump them.
Yeah.
So you can't
get stuck anyway.
Yeah, you get stuck.
You can't get out of being
yeah.
stuck.
So that, yeah, it's mildly annoying.
So with the weight there, like what is the weight limit before you become encumbered?
You can put points into leveling up the perk for more weight carry, but the base level is I think 110.
110 kilos?
Yeah.
Or pounds?
Well, pounds, kilo. I don't know. It doesn't actually say.
It's kind of a relevant, weird question, Chris, because unless you played the game, you're not really. It's not.
No, I just want to see any of you guys pick up 110 kilos and try and jump.
I can.
Or
anyway,
walk upstairs.
Look, bro, I can easily deadlift that. So
do you even lift, bro?
Do you even lift,
Jeez, bro?
Bro. Yeah, and you've got your horse as well that can carry items for you, so you can use them exactly like a mule and load them full of stuff. And there's different qualities of horses. They can kind of jump, depending on your speed. But yeah, anyway, then to wrap it up, it's a single player game, no multiplayer. If you like your stories and medieval, yeah, I'd give it a look for sure.
I've definitely got it on my wish list, and I'll wait for it to maybe drop in price a little bit and maybe pick it up on a sale, or depending on how I go with Far Cry 5, because I'll continue to play that. Got to finish that. I mean, at least out of Sea of Thieves and Far Cry, I've got to finish one of them, or at least put the hours into.
Sounds like we've already finished Sea of Thieves, really.
Well,
Finishing about 3 hours in.
There's still more content.
Collect the snake.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I hate that though. I hate that there's more to come.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't care about that until it exists.
Oh,
don't forget, No Man's Sky next. We didn't mention that.
Well, there's not much to mention at this point.
It's coming up next.
Yeah, I know, that's it. I've mentioned it now. So
so
I don't want people to think we're not on the ball.
Oh, of course, no. Hello Games and Sean Murray have come out to say that No Man's Sky Next is the next update. It's literally called Next.
It's pretty lazy.
Yeah, it's like what's coming next?
Are they going to have multiplayer?
They already have multiplayer.
No, but for real.
Some weird
actual proper.
The actual proper multiplayer.
Well, in terms of what's coming in the next game update, which is coming summer 2018, but I'm sure that'll be US summer.
So mid-year for us.
What's that? Mid-year for us? Okay, so hopefully not too far away. They're bringing out a new game update to it. Is free, of course, not charging for it. And we'll see. They haven't really announced what's in it, so we'll wait and see. But look, props to Hello Games that they've stuck it out after all this time, that they're still releasing game packs and updates.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Free, not charging, no microtransactions, and they're still able to release new content. I think this is like the 4th or the 5th game update.
I don't hate them as much.
No,
anymore.
and considering how much flack they got
an active community
in the beginning when they first released it, and it didn't meet expectations, and there was a lot of negative press around it, and people were just ragging on them constantly and giving them negative reviews. The fact that they've stuck at it and continue to give releases, absolutely, they've it's. Most normal humans would have went, well, fuck it, I'm done. Here's the game, buy it or don't. We're done. But they've stuck at it and they've done new content. They're not charging for it, and good on them. That's great.
I guess the next round of funding will come from the fact that it was a PC and PS4 exclusive. It's now coming to Xbox One, so that's probably going to be their hope for next round or wave of funding. But hey, still no more. They haven't introduced microtransactions yet, as far as I'm aware. I mean, I haven't played it in a while, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen them do that. And the updates and these expansions, or no, not expansions, but DLC game updates, completely free, which is pretty awesome. So I think that's just big props to them that they're still continuing to knock that out for everybody. So, but once that we get further information, we will of course bring it up, because look, I sort of made the comment the other night. I think if Sea of Thieves and No Man's Sky got together and produced like Offspring, then that would be the game that we would want, because I'd visualize.
No, it would still have nothing in it.
No, but No, see, the problem is,
Pirates in space.
in No Man's Sky, you've got missions to do. You can actually collect things. You can build bases. You can get better ships. You can continue to upgrade ships. But the problem is, there's no multiplayer team play about it. But you take Sea of Thieves, and let's pilot your pirate ship. Let's, someone's steering, someone's using the cannon, someone's on the anchor, someone's and then they've got no building mechanics, nothing to do, no quests or anything like that. Combine them together, and there you go. That's your game right there.
I assume you're going to have some sort of catchy name for the two of them. No
Sea of No Man's.
Sea of Nothing. That would be a good name.
Sea of Skies.
Sea of
No
Scams.
Man's Thieves.
Microsoft Thieves. Oh, no, that's
Oops.
Cool. Well, look, that is all the time we have for this week.
Just before we go, Chris and I are going to be doing another Star Citizen podcast sometime this week to talk about the release of 3.1, which went live just before Easter. So if you're into Star Citizen and that kind of stuff, look out for that. It'll be coming to the podcast app near you soon.
I heard it's got performance problems again. Is that
we'll
Depends on the server, but we'll go into
I
that.
say again like they'd fixed them, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It still has performance problems.
But we'll go into that in our next discussion. Whether Brett shows up for that, I don't think you will. Up to you.
I think I might ruin it though, because I'll just be like, what about the performance?
we're
And you
there
guys
to-
just be like, shut the fuck up.
channel you're in. Channel you're in, Michael.
We're there to discuss it, not just whinge and bitch about it. So
I'm hoping to get another Star Citizen video done tomorrow with any luck, and that'll be in 3.1. The last one I uploaded was not, so hopefully we'll get some stuff.
Yep. If you haven't had the chance to check out what Star Citizen is about, do watch Grax's videos on our YouTube channel. Once again, search for that as Control-Alt-Record, because it'll give you a good idea and indication as to what it is we're talking about when you see the gameplay. But as always, thank you so much for listening. Jump onto iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review, share it with your friends and all that stuff. Facebook, you'll find us, just search for Control-Alt-Record. Twitter handle is at CTRLALT Record, Control-Alt-Record. And YouTube, just search for the name. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in our next episode.
See ya.
Bye.